What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of ScreenFlow Live on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. My name's Lucas. For those of you who have never seen this before, the show, I am your host. Today we're talking about nested clips in ScreenFlow, how to use nested clips, why you want to use nested clips, things to be aware of, and I'll show you a couple of projects in which I've used nested clips and why I use them. So we'll just go through all that, and hopefully you'll come out the other side knowing all about nested clips. So that's today's episode, nested clips. All right, welcome back to the Nested Clips episode today. I am in the process of setting up comments, so just to let you know whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, I'm going to be monitoring those comments. Please go ahead and ask me any questions. Big fan of answering questions. That's just, it's what I do here. And let me just make sure I get all of these up here and make sure that they're muted so you guys don't hear. Perfect and perfect. I've got those up and ready to go. So yeah, today we're talking about nested clips, but before we do that, I just want to say be sure to subscribe and follow on all of our different social media outlets, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Those are the easiest ones to get to. At ScreenFlow on Twitter. Facebook is /ScreenFlow, and YouTube, we are ScreenFlowTube. If you just type that into Google, it'll be the first thing that pops up. And we also have the weekly reminder when we do go live. If you sign up on that link right down there, telestream.net/ScreenFlowLive, you should be able to get a little form you can fill out, put your information in, and we'll send you an email when we are ready to go. One last thing, next week, September 13th, is going to be all about hotkeys, how to set up your own custom hotkeys that I use, hotkeys that I think we should all be using just to save a ton of time, and the best ways to use those. So be sure to be here next Wednesday, 2:30, when we're talking about hotkeys. But for now, it's demo time. Let's get into a little bit of nested clips action in ScreenFlow. So I'm going to open up a new ScreenFlow recording. And we're just going to start with a new document. We'll do 1920 by 1080 and 60 frames per second. I'm just going to show you what nested clips are. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a piece of media from my global media library. If you guys have been watching the show, you know that I use this walk video often. And I'm going to drag it down one layer. Let's make these just a little bit bigger so you can see what's going on. I'm going to drag it down one layer, and above it, I'm going to add a text clip. I'm going to come over here to the text button, click plus, and then in the middle, I'll say, cooking time, exclamation points. Let's make that a lot bigger so we can see it, and change the color to, I like pink. And it looks like we're going to need an outline on it, and then we're also going to make it even bigger. Oh, there we go. Cooking time. You're not going to miss that, huh? Perfect. Actually, yeah, that looks good. And we'll center it. There we go. Cooking time. I know that doesn't look great, but it's just a demonstration of how to deal with these two clips. So if we do Shift-Z, which will expand our timeline to meet together to take up the whole screen, I'm going to expand cooking time over to 15 seconds, and now we've got these two clips. And what we can do is nest them. And so what is nesting a clip? If I highlight both of these and then right-click, unfortunately, or accidentally open that, right-click, we have this option here to nest clips. And when I do that, you'll see a couple things happen. First of all, those two clips now turned into one clip. And that's the basis of what nesting clips is. You can essentially take multiple clips and turn them into one clip. But that's not all it is. First of all, you can see this. It is now called nested clip. I would recommend when you start working with lots of clips, naming each nested clip is going to help you a lot. So let's call this cooking time. And now when I double click it, you can see this new menu section here in the timeline. I have the main timeline where I only have one clip, which is my new nested clip. And then I can open up cooking time, which is my new nested clip. And I can see in cooking time, I can see those two pieces of media. And now when I move this over, you can see that my cooking time clip goes all the way to 22.59 seconds. Now, one of the tricky things that's going to happen with nested clips is that if you see this line coming down right here, to the right of it, you have kind of this striped pattern. What that's saying is that that is outside the bounds of the original nested clip on your main timeline. So even though this cooking time nested clip, this whole different new section, has content that goes out to 22, almost 23 seconds, if I switch back to my main timeline, you can see that this clip is now still only 15 seconds. But the first half of it doesn't have that video in the background. And then around here, it comes in. So what's that saying is that once you set the bounds of time on your original nested clip, nothing will be shown after that, even if in the clip you have content after it. Now, one thing that's going to be real tricky is this. If I move all of my content outside of this original bounding area, the first 15 seconds, when I come back to my timeline and play this clip, it's going to be like there's nothing there. So if you're using nested clips, you have to be very wary of the interaction between your main timeline nested clip and the actual pieces of media within that nested clip. They have to be within this bounding area. But now, if I come over to the timeline, the main timeline, and come back to that cooking time nested clip, if I click and drag it out longer, and then come back to my cooking time, you can see that now my media, even though I haven't changed its location, is now within that bounding line, which we can't even see here. There it is. It starts all the way over here at something like 38 seconds. So now when I come back into my main timeline at the beginning, as I scroll through, there's the media, and then it disappears. So there's this very fine balance of where you can have media within your nested clip, but it's very easy to see by looking at this line. So now if I come over here and I come back to 15 seconds, and I clip this off, get rid of the last part, and come into cooking time, you can see that my media now fits nicely within this bounded line for nested clips. So that's what a nested clip does. It takes multiple pieces of media, and once you have that media, you can pull it in and you can adjust the time within the nested clip, but you have to be wary of the actual time in the main timeline of that full nested clip. And I totally understand it gets a little bit tricky to follow the words that I'm saying, because I'm saying in your main nested clip, and then the media within the nested clip, and then the nested clip on the main timeline, and then your timeline within the nested clip. It gets real tricky. Once again, the best way to learn is to do it. Make some nested clips, see how they work. But before we move on, I'm just going to double check my questions here. Joe Di Pasquale says, "Hi, Lucas. I'm back." Hello, Joe. No question there, but good to see you. And it doesn't look like we have any questions here either. Perfect. Let's see. Be sure, guys, to send me some questions because I want to answer your questions. So, one thing that can get really tricky as well, and one way that I use nested clips is, let's start over. Let's not have any nested clips. Oh, by the way, you can delete full nested clips just by clicking the little X right there. Not delete them, but get rid of that menu option. So let's completely delete all of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to recreate an effect that I made. I'm going to take a quick screenshot here. And I'm going to have to show my desktop icons. And I'm going to pull that screenshot in. And then let's make it 6 seconds. Sounds about right. So what I have here is a screenshot of my ScreenFlow interface. And what I want to do is put in one of the videos that I made, I had this screenshot of ScreenFlow, but I didn't have the ScreenFlow logo in it, and I really wanted that. So what I wanted to do was just come over here and grab one of these ScreenFlow logos, bring it into my timeline. I'm going to get rid of the ScreenFlow text by pressing and holding Control. That will make my little circles here at the bottom turn to squares, which means I can crop. And then I want to make this smaller, so I'll just click and drag it. And I want it to be up here, and I want it to be a little bit opaque. So I come over to the video tab and I drop the opacity so we can see. So now, whoops. Now we have two elements, my ScreenFlow logo over here on the left-hand side on top of my ScreenFlow user interface. And now what I want to do is I want to take this picture here and I want to make it smaller and bring it down to the right-hand corner. So what I would do is add a video action. And I take this and I want to make it smaller and move it down here. But now, in order to mirror that ScreenFlow logo, I have to, in order for it to look normal, I'd have to find the exact ratio between size and this. So this is 29%. So I'd have to take 29% of 20%, find whatever that small ratio is. Let's just say it's around there. And then I'd have to find that exact location here and put that video action in order for the logo and the background to move at the same time. Looks like I actually forgot to add the video action. So let's do that. Make it small. And then move it in here. Now when we watch this, let's make it a lot longer. When we watch these animations happen, well, I ended up eyeing that pretty good, but let's let's make a change here, and let's say that I accidentally went like this and it was a little bit too big, and I thought, that's what it looks good there. When I send this through, you can kind of see how the ScreenFlow logo will unattach itself from the ScreenFlow UI and just kind of floats there. What I want is the ability to move multiple objects all to that same zone. Like imagine if we got rid of these and I had multiple pieces of media on top and I had a lower third here as well and that went down there. Let's make that a little bit opaque. And then on top of that, I have text that says Lucas B because that's my name. And we'll change the color of that to dark blue. I like that. About there looks good. And we'll move it into my lower third. And now we got to get all these things lined up. Drop it low, bring these over, and make sure they're all 6 seconds long. Right there and right there. So now I have 4 pieces of media, and if I wanted all of these to shrink down into the bottom right, I'd have to go through each one of these pieces, add a video action, and make sure that that video action perfectly lines up with the ratios of size and distance and location within the canvas in order to make it look like they're attached to that back photo and shrinking down to the bottom right. But now, if I highlight all of them and nest these clips, I have one piece of media that I can add a video action to. So if I open up my nested clips, I see this bounding box that I was talking about there on the right-hand side, and my 4 pieces of media that all are 6 seconds long. And I'm not going to add a video action to any of these. I'm only going to add a video action to the new nested clip that I made on the original timeline. So I'll come back here to video action, and all of these pieces of media will now be bound together and will come down into a small zone in the bottom right. So let's watch how that looks. There you go. You can see that everything is lined up perfectly and it stays in place. So if you're moving multiple pieces of media using video actions and you want them to stay in place, using nested clips is a really powerful way to essentially bypass, in this case, adding 4 different difficult to dial in video actions. Here I just add one simple one and it's applied to everything. And if I go back into my nested clip, I haven't actually edited these media files at all. Like if we just play through what this looks like, there's going to be no movement because these don't have the video action applied to them. It's the entire sequence of all 4 of them together moving as one. Just going to periodically go back and check my comments here. All right. Nabi Kleinman says, how can I overlay a single or multiple videos within frames on the screen at the same time as showing a still? All right, I got to break that down. I am a little confused at this question. Hang on a second. How can I overlay a single or multiple videos within frames on the screen at the same time as showing a still? Nabi, you're going to have to rephrase that because I don't really know what you're asking. I'm sorry. Just let me know if you can maybe break that out into something a little bit more straightforward. Frankly speaking, can you put, good to see both of you, by the way, Frankly Speaking and Nabi Kleinman, can you put a video action on a clip, then nest it with others, then add a second video action on the nested clip, and both video actions play? Let's double check. I have not tested that out here. Let's use both of these, and we're going to add a video action to both of them. And at the end, they're both going to be moved to the right-hand side. I'm just moving my lower third to the right-hand side. Let's see what happens now. So on the timeline, we have a video motion action, and in the nested clip, we have a video motion action. And in this case, when we play this, what we should see is but all the things get smaller and move down to the right, as well as the lower third individually moving over to the right. Let's play it. There you go. Yes, you can. It's that easy. You know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see, make sure it's not as small so we can see it happen again. So what I've done is I've added a video clip to this and this little lower third, and starting here, it moves over to the right. So if I play just the nested clip, this is what's happening within the nested clip. And then in the main clip, on the main timeline, we have that as well as the entire thing moving down a little bit to the right. So frankly speaking, yes, you can do that, which is pretty sweet. Larry Becker says, thanks for that. It will help me easily zoom in periodically when my green screen projects where I'm in a scene with several elements and a background. Yeah, Larry Becker, it's something that I use a lot. If it just like, especially if you have a ton of elements, instead of making 13 different video animations, you just nest the clip and make one and everything moves together. How do you show 2 videos on screen at the same time? That's the basic question. I will show you. I actually just did one of these. Can you use nested clips across multiple projects? Kai de Lefert. Kai, let me get back to you. Actually, that one's really quick, so I'm going to do that real fast. Yes and no. You can't necessarily save a nested clip to use in multiple projects, but what I've done in the past, especially with, let me just create something really fast here. ScreenFlow lower third here in the bottom left. And I want to add a text box that says Lucas B, and we're going to make that black and move it down here. Oops, I didn't mean to. Excuse me. Let's use the dropper to make it black. Perfect. And then move it up a little bit, and then I like to put like, you know, my title, which is product Evangelist, and we'll make that nice and flashy for italics and even bolded. Perfect. Bring it in here. So let's say this is the lower third that I want to use. Whoops. In every single project. What I use, and I don't have access to it right now because it's on my external hard drive, which I did not bring into the studio today, but it's not really a big issue. But let's say I want this to be consistently a certain amount of time for 5 seconds. Let's do 5 seconds. If I nest this clip and I title it lower third, what I can do is I can pull it over here. And this is better going to help to explain it. Lower third, Lucas. Let's say I'm doing a lot of editing for somebody. I can just copy and paste this, by the way. Now I have 2 of those nested clips. Let's say this one's for me, lower third, Lucas. But now I'm doing lots of editing for somebody else's videos. Let's say it's my co-product evangelist, Andrew. I'm going to say lower third, Andrew. And now when I come in here to this nested clip, I'm going to change Lucas B to Andrew H. And now I have in my main timeline a couple different lower thirds. And of course, when I put them over here, it looks bad because you can see both of them. But what I can do now is I can save this project as my lower thirds. And now it's saved to my desktop. And anytime I need to use one of these, I can come in, open this up, and just copy and paste it. Let's open up a new document. And right here, now I've got my Lucas B lower third nested clip. I can come in and adjust it if I want to, or I can keep it in the timeline. And now I don't have to recreate this lower third, and it's multiple pieces of content. And so while you can't necessarily have it in your global library as a nested clip, what I recommend doing is having a document where you save a lot of these important things that you've created, and then you can open those up on a periodic basis and pull in what you need into different products into different projects, like in this case, a lower third. I'm not going to save that, and I'm going to get back into that was for you, Kai. Let me get back to the question here. Nobby Kleinman. Yes, let me open up a project that I just recently finished. Whoa, God. There's my face. Real loud right in your face. So this was for a different project. And this is ridiculous. Look at this project. I didn't actually end up nesting any of these, even though I probably could have. But you can see that this is a hell of a lot of edits going on. And the reason why is because here I have multiple videos happening at the same time. There's a video, there's a video. Let's fast forward through this a little bit. And then there's another video there, and they're all playing at different times, and I'm highlighting different parts. And essentially what's going on is we have something that's happening simultaneously across the country in different locations. So I have multiple videos coming in, and they're all playing at the same time, and then they're also in the background. So Nabi, when it comes to pulling in multiple pieces, yeah, it's very easy. You just pull in each individual video. And if you want them both on the screen at the same time, you just make them a little bit smaller and put them side by side. And you can essentially add as much content to this as you want. If I come back over here, let's add a video here, and I can make it, let's actually start a whole new zone right over here. We'll make this one small and put it up in the top left. Let's add a little bit of rotation here. Angle it in. I think that's pretty cool. And then I'll add a second video right here. And we're going to make this one significantly smaller as well. Put it in the bottom right, and we're going to add the opposite angle. So a -7 degree Y rotation. And now they're both angled in towards each other. And now I can play both of them at the same time. So this doesn't necessarily take care of nested clips. You could then, of course, nest these clips and then add onto this new nested clip a video action that now, and as you can see what happens, these essentially why the reason why this works is because these are now no longer individual elements and they're baked into one. So I can't adjust the size of these, but I can adjust the size of both of them at the same time. So now I have them playing and then they come down into the bottom right. And you could put, you said something about a frame. I could put a little frame around this as well if I wanted. I would probably do that in the nested clip timeline. And what I would do is add an annotation. And I'm going to add a box annotation here. And I'm just going to do it from the top of that video down to the bottom of this one. Perfect. I like that. And let's get rid of some of these random layers that we don't need and move this across. And we'll make these, actually, let's cut them off here. And when we come back into the main timeline, what I've done is I have a frame around my videos and everything is interacting together and dropping down into the bottom right. Hopefully, Nabi, that helped you. Yeah, there you go, Larry Becker. You're on it, man. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You can also frame each individual video, Nabi, in the same way that I framed this both videos. So what I could do is come back and change this nested clip to just frame one. And when I come back into the timeline, you can see that, I mean, obviously that wasn't perfect because I spent very little time trying to make it work, but the idea is that you can frame it and the frame will move with the video as well. Yeah, Larry Becker, I'm stoked that you love them. I also love them. I think it was new in ScreenFlow 6 that we started using nested clips, and it just made all of my videos that much easier to make. Let me show you something. So there's a lot of technical ways that you can use it. I've talked about a lot of those just to help with animating multiple elements at once. But one thing that I sometimes feel is overlooked is the ability to use nested clips solely for organization. Let's see. Where is this video? Where have I put it? Sorry, guys. I thought I was going to be able to find this video super easily in my recents, but apparently I've done lots of other things lately. What is this one? Hang on. Hang on, guys. Go back into ScreenFlow. Open recents. Fast String Wirecast Quick Start. New Flotility. The Wirecast upgrades. Let's do animation. See if I can find. Oops. Didn't mean to open that. There we go. Vantage Domain Elastic Animation. So check this out. And this is a project that I have not finished yet. I started working on it, but you can see it's just a quick little animation of certain amount of things. Those are just popping in and then starting to spin. But what I'm eventually going to do is do that same little animation that you see here on the Monday with Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And this is what my entire project looks like right here. This is it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The reason why I'm able to do this is because I've used nested clips to organize it to make my main timeline a lot less cluttered. Because if I open up Monday, you can see this is what the Monday animation looks like. And so if I play it from the beginning, you see this whole thing. Right? But over here, that is just this one little bar at the top. So all of this content is condensed down into one layer right here. And Tuesday's the same thing. I've got all of these little different pieces of elements, and Wednesday has a whole bunch of different elements, and Thursday has a whole bunch of different elements. But on my main timeline, those 40 or 50 different pieces of media are condensed down into just 4 simple nested clips on the timeline, and I named them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I know if I need to jump in and adjust my Tuesday, I can just double click on that one, and now I can start adding all of my visual elements to this Tuesday nested clip. And so nested clips can be used in a multitude of ways. This one, strictly for organization. They can be used for animations within animations, like I just showed you earlier when I brought the whole screen down to the bottom right and moved something on the inside. It helps with doing that kind of stuff. It helps with essentially cutting out multiple video actions, like this one, for example. If I wanted to move this whole Tuesday, like this is going to be a really good way of showing you. If I want to move this whole Tuesday, every single thing in this line, I want it to move down to the bottom and then disappear. All I have to do is add a video action here, make it significantly smaller, and move it down. I have to make it bigger so I can actually grab it. And then move it down to the bottom right. And now when we come through here, that whole thing just disappears. And I didn't have to do, all I did was one thing. But if I go to Tuesday, that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different video actions, all perfectly lined up with ratios and movement. It saves, in this case, it would probably have saved me, I would say easily 45 minutes. It would have taken me to animate each one of these individually perfectly to the way that they disappeared, all at the same time as well. And it's just not even something that is worth spending time on without nested clips. So there you go. And that's really all I had. Nested clips they can get really tricky if you start cutting out pieces of media that you have in nested clips and then start moving around things that you have in the nested clip to different timing. And like I said in the beginning, you want to be very wary of that bounding zone. But spend a little bit of time. Start with just the basics. Take a project that you have that has a lot of content in it and condense a couple pieces that seem to go together thematically. Condense them down into their own nested clip and see if it starts helping you with your organization. And once you get used to how nested clips work with organization, then you can start adding video actions within the nested clip or on top of the nested clip to affect all of the pieces within it. There's a lot of different ways to start adding more and more complexity to the way that you use some of the features in ScreenFlow. And I think that nested clips can get tricky if you just jump into the deep end. It took me a long time to really conceptualize how to use them most effectively. So hopefully this will get you started on the right track and you can start using nested clips. I think they're extremely powerful and very helpful when creating content in ScreenFlow. But I'm going to answer a couple more questions here. Hope my cold clears up soon. The problem is it only started like as I sat down to talk to you guys, which is ridiculous. So if you have any last questions, let me know. Throw them into the YouTube chat or the ScreenFlow chat. Kai said, thank you. Perfect. And I am going to just go through the last couple things here. Just a reminder how to find us. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on ScreenFlow, Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. /ScreenFlow on Facebook, @ScreenFlow on Twitter, and @ScreenFlowTube on YouTube. And we also will be here next week doing everything about hotkeys. True hardcore editors always use hotkeys, and I use some. I'm always trying to add new hotkeys into my workflow. I'll show you the ones that I think are the easiest to use, things that I'm trying to learn to use more, and ones that I think save the most time. And if you want to, go ahead and go to telestream.net/ScreenFlowLive, where you can sign up for a reminder that says, hey, we're live right now. Come check us out. And let me just double check that there's no last questions. Larry Becker, you're totally awesomely welcome. And Navi Kleinman, as are you. And the Frankly Speaking show, you guys are all rad. Looks like everybody's got their questions answered, so I'm going to call it there. It's awesome spending the afternoon with you guys, and I will see you all next week for everything about hotkeys. Talk to you later. Bye.